we meet Dawn Lippert as CEO and founder of Elemental Impact. She's helped more than 160 companies create climate solutions around the world. Here's a preview of our conversation. You had said that you have to be willing to fail and then move on. How are you able to not stay in failure when they happen?
I don't know, but I mean, I often think about this because someone will tell me, oh, remember that person that we pitched for our fund and they said no? And I'm like, oh, I don't remember. You know, I think it's just like, I just immediately drop it and like move on to the next one. I have a lot of memories of people that said yes. But I think it is, it's like forward momentum, moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. And Dennis Teranishi once told me, you know, when I worked with him, and he was really part of the sort of the early DNA of building Elemental, he said momentum is something that's like so hard to get. And once you get it, you just like hang on for dear life. Like you wrangle that, like don't let it go. And I think that that is part of like just sort of moving through failure. And you know, really understanding that failure also is a lot of learning. Like you cannot learn without failing. And so in a way, like that's a gift too. So if you can just really say like, okay, well, we didn't get that, or this company blew up, or this thing happened, but like we won't make that same mistake again, or we'll look at this in a different way. And so we're just building, building, building. So I think like failing is just part of building.
How do you sustain that ability to keep running through walls and to keep I mean, the thing that strikes me about you in knowing you over however many years is that you are always on the move. You're always on a plane, you're always going to speak somewhere, like you are always going, going, going. And it seems like just an incredible level to sustain.
To me, like that gives me a ton of energy. And I also realized when moving here to Hawaii, like it struck me over time that if you could say yes to like almost everything, you don't know the things that are going to be high impact in the long term, like today. You just don't have that visibility. But the more you can say yes to, then doors start opening, and then like things get sort of like easier or more clear, and you can like build more clearly. So I think I always just really, you know, if I get an opportunity, I really try to say yes.
I think a lot of times we're always talking about how do I have more boundaries? How do I sustain myself? So it's interesting that your default is yes, when I think a lot of our defaults is no.
I think it also has to be like yes in your lane. Like I don't say yes to like everything, but I know these are the things I'm trying to get done, and anything that I think can like help me do that, I'll say yes to that. And then there's other people on the team or other people in the ecosystem that can do other things. Like an example is working with really early stage companies. Like Elemental, you might think works with really early stage companies. We actually work with companies that usually have at least 10 people, have raised a few $1 million, we have a working prototype, we're funding a project in a community, they're later stage companies. And we've learned over time that we're not the best people for super early stage companies. So we find other places to send them and other people that can help them, but we are super focused. So once you have your focus, then you say yes to things like in that target, because you don't know which ones will necessarily pan out. But I think it's like starting with focus and then saying yes. Because I think if you're unfocused, you'd just be like, oh my God, like there's way too much, right? So it's focus and then saying yes.
Dawn Lippert reminds us that real leadership means taking big ideas and turning them into action. Watch the full episode on air and online at hawaiinewsnow.com.